Om Vasudevasutam Devam Hansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. In the last class, which was a little short one, we saw up to the 4th verse. In the 4th verse of this 6th chapter of Bhagavad Geetā, Sri Krishna defines who is a yoga ruda. For the discussion so far made a sharp distinction between Arurukshu and Arudha. Arurukshu is those of us who are desirous of rising to a high level of eligibility for Brahma Vidya, the liberating science. We are desirous of becoming eligible, but we are not eligible yet. That is Arurukshu, which means Yaha Arodhum Ichchati. If you think of that higher state of consciousness as a horse, we are trying to mount the horse, but we do not succeed. In contrast, Arudha is someone who has the necessary eligibility. Essentially, it is Viveka and Vairagya. Vairagya is all the more highlighted. On one hand, you pick Vairagya above all, true Vairagya, not some kind of suppression, not some kind of where we do not express our desires, but we do have desires within us. That's not Vairagya. When they asked Ramana Maharshi, what do we do with our vasanas? He said, scorch them. Like in the heat of the sun, if something is left for a few hours, it gets scorched. Scorch your vasanas. So, easier said than done. Normally, foolish, worldly people do the opposite. They constantly feed the vasanas. They constantly nourish and nurture their vasanas. They give new life to their old tendencies to eat, drink, and make merry. How can they ever come upon Vairagya? I was saying, one extreme of these 9 qualities that are mentioned as eligibility for Vedanta, one is picked up, Vairagya. On the other extreme, you go to Prakarana Granthas on the Vedanta, they give all the 9, Viveka, Vairagya, Mumukshutva, 3. Then 6 in a single group, Shama, Dama, Uparama, Samadhana, Titiksha, and Shraddha. So 9 of these attributes, even if we are not okay in one of them, we pay a price. So anybody among us is serious about getting illumined, about being totally freed from the limited I, the ego, which is the source of all our misery, then we cannot compromise with these 9 qualities. Generally, they are called sadhana chatushtaya, the 4-fold qualifications, because viveka, vairagya, mumukshutva are the 3, and Shamadama, etc., six of them are bunched together. Shamadhi Shatka Sampad. It's not good if we just memorize and then move on. We must find out how we may develop these qualities. Bhagavad Gita highlights Viveka and Vairagya. So the steed that one wants to mount is no other than excellent Viveka and Vairagya. When you have Viveka, you make right judgments. What to pursue, what not to pursue, what to hold, what to drop, etc. becomes extremely easy for you if you are endowed with Viveka. A lot of bondage in life is because of aviveka. One not only holds what one should have dropped, one actually nourishes what one is holding. As we said before, one breathes new life into one's attachments. Rama Rama. How will then one come anywhere near liberation? Therefore, through satsanga, through contact with truly pious people, we can develop vivek and vairagya. Let's quickly take a look at this fourth sloka, which perhaps was not handled in full measure. Yada hinendriyartheshu na karma svanushajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarudaha tada uchyate. Shankaracharya helps us see yada, when samadhiyamana chittaha yogi. We have fallen 1,000 times, never mind. We now get up and try to collect our thoughts, collect our emotions, gather our energy, not letting it get dissipated. That's called samadhiyamana chitta. Samadhiyamanam chittam yasya sa yogi sa samadhiyamana chitta. Very nice compound. A seeker whose chitta, whose mind is being gathered. Otherwise it was going in 100 directions. The word samadhi basically means bringing together. Sam plus a plus dha. Dha is to keep. Sam plus a plus dha. Dha is the verbal root. Means collect from everywhere and put it at one place. Samadhiyamana chittaha yogi indriyarteshu. What are indriyarthas? Indriyas we know. The eyes, ears, nose and so on. Tesham artha, objects. For the ears, shabda is the object. For the eyes, rupa is the object. For the tongue, rasa, taste is the object. For the nose, good smell is the object. For the tvacha, the skin, pleasant touch is the object. Shabdadayaha indriyarthaha. Teshu indriyartheshu karma sucha, and in numerous activities. You and I somehow, in lack of alertness, get into so much of activities, and then we say, oops, I'm restless, I have no peace of mind. Who asked you to take up so much of work? Why do you want to get into everything? Why do you want to attend all kinds of functions, all kinds of meetings, all kinds of social get-togethers? Why do you want to see yourself in everything that is going on around you? Be selective. See how once more Viveka plays an important role. If we have Viveka, then we will be able to let go of certain foolish urges and stay with what is helpful to us in our onward progress. Karma Sucha. Bhashyakara says, Nitya Naimittika Kamya Pratisiddheshu Prayojana Abhava Buddha. When Viveka rises, as you know, some Vedanta works have been titled Viveka Chudamani, Viveka Chandrodaya, the crest jewel of right judging. Viveka is judging. Viveka is determining, discerning what is good, what is bad, what is eternal, what is temporal, what is real and what is unreal. Distinguishing. Otherwise we say yes to everything, and that is the sure way of getting totally messed up. So one text is called Viveka Chudamani. Such ability to judge Nitya and Anitya is the crest jewel that we may wear upon our head. Another, I guess, is called Viveka Chandrodaya. When it is dark, we are not able to see things, then full moon rises. And then we are able to see properly. Therefore, discrimination is the moon that rises in the sky. Nitya, that we have to do every day. As long as one is in the grahastha state of consciousness, there are prescribed karmas, they are nitya. Naimittika is certain karmas that are taken up for some specific nimittas. You have, let's say, no rains, and you say, let me perform a ritual so that the area, my geographical area, gets good rains for a certain nimitta. You perform some karmas for getting children. For various particular nimittas, you may take up some karma. Then there is kamya, varieties of desires, desire prompted activities. And then, of course, pratishidha, prohibited actions. Shankara keeping in mind sannyasa, walking away from karma fully so that one may totally devote oneself to Brahma Chintana. One may stop looking at oneself as a doer. One wishes to see oneself as the witnessing consciousness. If you invest in any of the Nitya, Naimittika, Kamya or Pratisiddha, more than the limitations of karma and karma phala, you become reinforced as a karta, which is false. You are not karta, says the Vedanta. You are not bhokta, not the doer, not the enjoyer. You are sakshi. You are drashta. Like in the famous example of two birds on the same tree in Mundaka Upanishad. Jivatma eats fruits which are sometimes sweet but more often sour. And the Jivatma is restless. Paramatma, second bird, which is said, he just sees, he just beholds. Anashnan abhichakashi, without eating this or that fruit, just watches. You and I are drashta actually. We are one with Paramatma, but something made us slip into being Jivatma. Therefore, the emphasis on sannyasa is to completely let go of our doership. Prayojana abhava buddhya. As viveka increases, the same we who at one time looked at activities as having the prospect of making us happy, we saw prayojana in those activities, in those actions, in those karmas. The same we, upon being enriched in viveka, judgment, we are able to judge, we are able to separate the grain from the chaff. Then we see no prayojana. The world goes on inviting you to this or that activity, this or that celebration. Somewhere you are honored, somewhere you are put on a pedestal, somewhere you are rewarded, you are gifted, you are given lots of things which generally make worldly people happy. But the Viveki, the wise, discriminating person, looks at the sad limitations of all these and says, no, that is sannyasa. Prayojana bhava, prayojana abhava buddhya. There is no prayojana, na anushajyate. Anushangam kartavyata buddha na karoti. Anushanga means clinging. Why do we cling to actions? Because we have a sense of, oh, this is my duty. Duty is an essential element of the illusion that the pluralistic world is. Duty is a good word. I am a very duty conscious person, one says, and feels proud about it. Shankaracharya says to that person, Buddhu means a dull-witted fellow. What you think is your duty is not really your duty. But at this state of consciousness, it seems to be your duty. Please do it. As long as you look at it as your duty. Because of Rajoguna, what is not your duty comes across as your duty. Everything in the town seems to be your duty. Everything in the town seems to depend on you. Therefore, you go from one end of the town to the other. You go from this family to that family, this place to that place, saying, now I have to do this, now I have to do that. The state of consciousness where you are living, alas, sorry to say, is lower. Therefore, what is none of your business seems to be your sacred duty. Kartavyata buddhim na karoti. So by merely willing not to take too much work, nothing will happen. Increase your viveka. Do satsanga. Sit quietly. Examine your urges. Be aware of the motives. Be aware of the driving forces behind whatever you do. It may look like duty. I'm so selfless here, one imagines. But upon carefully noticing one's own mind and its movement, one realizes, oh, I thought I was selfless. I thought I was serving somebody, serving a group of people. Actually, it is a certain attachment. It's a certain insecurity. And what is more, it is certain seeking of attention. Seeking of attention. Attention seeking. Little children want attention. The child was dancing and a lot of elders were looking at the child and saying, wow, how nice. Afterwards, adults got busy talking to each other. Nobody was paying attention to the child. The child became aware. Nobody is paying attention to me. The child lost interest in dancing. walked away. We, the adults, also are constantly seeking attention, and unknowingly we get caught in karma. And the worst part is we think we are doing our duty. It's not our duty. It is certain unrest, certain insecurity, certain fear, certain inability to walk alone. We want A and B, X and Y to periodically tell us how nice you are, how good you are, what a wonderful person you are, and so on. Without such compliments coming our way, we feel lost. Adi Shankara says, therefore, develop viveka, and whether somebody praises you or not, somebody appreciates you or not, somebody rewards you or not, be established in a certain unconditional well-being. Then you will find whatever seemed your duty now is discovered to be not your duty. Kartavyata buddhim na karoti, anushangam na karoti, na anushajyate. That is when one is a yoga aruda. And a yoga aruda necessarily is sarva sankalpa sannyasi. Sarvan sankalpan iha amutra artha kama hetun sannasitum shilam asyeti sarva sankalpa sannyasi. Iha means here in this world. Amutra means there in heaven. All religions talk about heaven. On the earth and in the heaven, there are enjoyments, and our mind seeks those enjoyments, desires those enjoyments. And then what causes us to go for those enjoyments is a sankalpa. Sankalpa elsewhere by other commentators has been defined as Shobhana Adhyasa. Sankalpa here is not resolve. Somewhere else Sankalpa means Nishchaya, Nirnaya, resolve, a decision. I will go to the town today. One decides. Then at 11 o'clock one gets going. That is Sankalpa is resolve. But in this context, Sankalpa means Shobhana Adhyasa. What is Shobhana Adhyasa? In what really doesn't have all that happiness, one imagines happiness. Shobhana means, aha, how beautiful, how nice, if I were to get that car, if I could get that house, if I could get that companion, if I could wear that jewelry, if I could put on that hat, how wonderful I will be. Thought says it, the mind says it. Really that hat, that jewelry, that house, that car, etc. have nothing to offer. It's all in thought. It's all in the mind. Therefore, the mind binds us upon the impurified. The same mind liberates us. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. Bandhaya vishayasaktam muktam nirvishayam smritam. Right? Shankaracharya says, Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi Yoga Arudaha Prapta Yogaha. So this person has got Prapta. Pra plus Apta. Apnoti is to get. This person, lady or man, has got the necessary amount of Vivek and Vairagya. So Yoga Aruda is defined in an excellent manner in this shloka on different levels. Yadahi indriyeshu na anushajyate, karmasu na anushajyate, sankalpam na kurute. These are the hallmarks of that heightened consciousness. Shankara has a little more to say about this Sankalpa Sannyasi. In yet another paragraph, he says, Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi iti vachanat, Sarvanscha Kaman, Sarvani cha Karmani, Sannyase Yatna. Sankalpa, that is Shobhana Adhyasa, imagination, that that object, that place, that chair, that person, that woman, that man, that something will give me a lot of happiness. How nice, how beautiful, and so on. That is Sankalpa. Sankalpa leads to Kama, and Kama leads to Karma. Therefore, the word Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi implies that you let go of Kama and Karma also. Sankalpa Mula hi sarve Kamaha. All your desires follow. You are imagining that something has happiness. Somebody was in Bangalore city for some 2 or 3 years. Otherwise, he was from a distant village in Karnataka. His father had put him in Bangalore to do BSc in a college. So he was in a rented room and the father sent money every month. So the son could get a BSc from a college in Jayanagar, Bangalore. The boy enjoyed the city life with whatever little money he was getting, and he was able to save after paying the fees at the college, etc. He enjoyed some, attractions of the city. This is an old story. In good old days, going to a movie in a cinema theater was an enjoyment. Then 3 years got over. The father said, now come back to our village. They had a little business. Must you run that business now? The boy was a bit disappointed. Oh, this city of glitter and glamour. How can I leave this place? And when there were 24 hours left for him to board the train, which runs towards his little village, 6 hours of journey, he said, 24 hours left. I want to enjoy the maximum in these 24 hours. So the boy did not even sleep enough. He had some money left in his pocket. Went to a cinema theater, watched a movie, came out. Went to another theater, watched a second movie, came out. Quickly grabbed some food and ate. Went to a third movie, one Kannada movie, one Hindi movie, and an English movie. Wow. And finally boarded the train, tired out of his enjoyments. Why did he do all that? That first of all, Sankalpa. He has that notion that to sit and watch a movie, what a great, it's heaven on earth. And the way Maya works is, if you think that something can give you happiness, it seems that this thing is giving you happiness. If not in all situations, in a number of situations, your adhyasa, you are superimposing happiness in a certain object, place, or person, etc., leads to your finding happiness in that object. It's all the play of the mind. The object doesn't have it. You imagine and you get what you imagine. Mind has that capacity. So this boy at that time of his life, somehow, where it begins we do not know, had developed a heightened sense of pleasure, happiness in cinemas, in movies. And then the last 24 hours in Bangalore before he returned to his village in North Karnataka, somewhere, Hubli, Dharwad, that side, small village near there. He actually did experience each of those three movies, Kannada, Hindi, and English, gave him such great happiness. There were many others who slept off in the theater, many others who got so bored, many others who swore against the actors and never come to a movie by this actor anymore. But this boy, because of his sankalpa, which led to kama, which led to karma. Karma is actually he went and bought the ticket and went inside. So no need for more examples. Please see, sankalpa, kama and karma are a chain. Shankara quotes from Manusmriti. Sankalpa mulaha kamo vai yajnaha sankalpa sambhava. Second chapter, third shloka. Manusmriti has 12 chapters and something like 2000 shlokas. Manusmriti has laid out a lot of duties of citizens, of the language of caste is used, which has to be now understood in new light. But the old scripture, we don't know how old Manusmriti is. It talks about the duties of Brahmanas before it talks about the rights of Brahmanas. The decadence or degradation of Brahmins took place when they focused on rights, what they should get from society, but they conveniently forgot what they should be doing. Anushtana, japa, tapa, vedadhyayana, meditating on God, those things they left conveniently. But they looked at the other castes and said, you must respect me, and so on. That led to a lot of confusion. Alas, that's a different story. We will not go into it now. But in the context of psychology, Manusmriti is regarded as a masterpiece because it talks about how the mind operates. This example, Sankalpa Mulaha Kama, Yajnaha Sankalpa Sambhava. Somebody like Dasharatha performing Putra Kameshti Yaga. Later on, Sri Rama conducts Ashwamedha Yaga. And in Mahabharata, our Yudhishthira conducts Rajasuya Yaga. Or then there is somebody who just does daily Agnihotra, a simple 10 minutes affair. All of them are Sankalpa Sambhava. The man who performs visualizes first, such and such are the benefits, such and such are the enjoyments which will come to me. Therefore, here I am. I'm going to do them. And then again, in Mahabharata, in the famous portion of Moksha Dharma, I get the teachings of Bhishma to Yudhishthira. Bhishma also puts it in such strong terms. Kamajanami te moolam sankalpa kila jayase. As though a man is addressing desire. Oh desire, I know where from you arise. You arise from sankalpa. That is Shobhana Adhyasa. In this context, sankalpa means superimposing beauty, charm, and ability to give happiness in an object which actually doesn't have that. The object does not have. At a certain stage in life, you and I go to a mall and we see an attractive wristwatch that you put on your wrist. You can't take your eyes off that wristwatch. Though your family or friends drag you to another area, your mind is still there. Later on, making an excuse, you come back there and again take a look at that watch. Like mechanical or electronic or something. and you see its cost. Luckily, I happen to have that much money. I can buy this, but if I buy this, nothing will be left in my pocket. I can't buy anything else. I rethink. And the mind oscillates. Shall I spend all the money I brought to buy this watch? Then you end up buying. So others are looking at you. Where did he disappear? Oh, he's there. Again, he went back to the watches. Why is he so stuck with these wrist watches? They have some other attractions, right? So it is the mind. The same person, maybe after a couple of years, has no interest in wristwatches. Changes, mind changes. Therefore, sankalpa, that imagination, for whatever reason, we don't know the genesis of that sankalpa, how it arose. There are some who want to become MLA, MP, or in the United States, some councillors. So, they want to occupy a political position, win some election, and be somebody in the society. Their mind is made like that. They see becoming a councillor, becoming member of a politically elected body, something so wonderful, right? All sankalpa. Then there is karma, then there is karma. Oops. So a man says to desire, listen, desire, I know how you arise. And I therefore will not encourage in me, within me, any sankalpa. Natvam sankalpaishyam. I am not going to, in the example of the wristwatch, and after listening to some satsanga, understanding the whole thing, next time goes to the small, sees the wristwatches section, old tendencies rise, he doesn't feed them. He doesn't put water to the bottom of the plant. He moves on and remembers what his spiritual teacher said in the class. Objects don't have happiness on their own. It's your mind which invests into the objects. Mind makes those objects look like sources of happiness. It's your mind which has the problem. So he remembers and na sankalpaishyam. Even if his family says, did you buy another watch today? How come you walked away? I am no more interested in watches, he says. Not easy to come upon such a change, but if we really cooperate with the process of satsanga, of spiritual instruction of gurus, we will be coming out. Sarva kama parityage cha sarva karma sannyasa siddho bhavati. When we let go of sankalpa, which leads to our letting go of kama, desire, then karma sannyasa bhavishyati, siddho bhavati. Brihadaranyaka has the mantra in the 4th chapter, 4th Brahmana. Sayatha kamo bhavati, tat kratur bhavati, yat kratur bhavati, tat karma kurute. So as one has a certain desire, then one actually goes ahead. We have the word kratu here. Kratu, it is said, is a certain decision to get it. I have a desire to buy that wristwatch, and then, as I explained before, my mind oscillates for a few seconds or a couple of minutes. Then I decide, no, I have brought 800 rupees. This wristwatch costs 750. Only 50 will be left in my pocket. Doesn't matter. I will buy this. That is called kratu. First kama. I want to buy. Kratu. I will buy. And then you actually tell the sales girl, please pack this for me. And so on. Karma. Purchase is karma. Kama, kratu, But behind Kama, there was Sankalpa, the imagination that this wristwatch will make rest of my life so happy, etc. So, Yat Krat, this is Rahadaranya. Yad Yad Hikurute Jantuhu, Tat Tat Kamasya Cheshtitam. This is another powerful line in Manusmriti. Manusmriti calls a spade a spade. You may think it is social service. You may think it is your duty. You may think you are helping somebody. You may think that it is for the good of the society. On a certain plane, it may be so, but on a higher plane, when you see, or when you go to a higher plane and look at your karma, your karma, your activities, yattat karma kurute, jantuhu, every living being, tat tat kamasya cheshti. Why this is called a powerful statement is according to this line by Manu, there is nothing like nishkama karma at all. It's all perception. Those who do social service say, we are not, we have given up selfish activities. Nowadays, we are only into selfless activities. We don't mean to insult or confuse social workers. But if these so-called social workers rise to higher state of consciousness, that will happen eventually. They will grow. They will look back and then they will have a new understanding of that social work which they did. It's interesting that social work where really sincerely they help the poor, the underprivileged, etc., etc. Yesterday a short video came and I too felt happy about it. The short video was within, I think, 24 hours or so of the terrible earthquake that hit Turkey, the government of India decided to fly a bunch of people from its army, Indian army, some officers, some medical staff, especially the medical wing of Indian army. They flew in special planes to Turkey and they looked at several buildings that were offered to them by the government of Turkey. Then they selected one building which was strong enough because another tremor and that hospital should not collapse. They took a very good building, strong, and they set up a hospital. Quickly, they recruited a number of volunteers from Turkey itself because they need interpreters, they need a lot of support staff. But the brains, the medical knowledge, the equipment, how to run that, etc., was these 15. The short video was indeed inspiring. And the people of Turkey were in tears. They say, we are so touched by the gesture of government of India to set up this hospital. Very soon, hundreds or maybe thousands of patients who were injured in the very bad earthquake that Turkey and Syria suffered, right? They were all. So we are nobody to look down, rather we are inspired. But see, you must understand Adhyatma Vidya. With all due respect to lots of good work going on in the world, they are nowhere near the state of mind of someone who is Atmanishta, who is Brahmanishta, who is not to be mistaken as an escapist. You don't look at Ramana Maharshi, who was present during the two great world wars. World War One, Maharshi was very much alive. Let's say World War One, somewhere 1915 or so. Ramana was 15 plus 21, 36-year-old young man in Tiruvannamalai, sitting on a rock. And he was aware World War One is going on. 1944, around that time. Second World War. Ramana was 60, 65 or 66-year-old. Very well known. Lots of politicians, leaders, and people from all walks of life were visiting him. And he was up to date, in a sense, of the war. So, what prevented him from going? He was operating on a different plane. He knew that God's will was operating through him in another man. Sometimes you and I get excited about some particular walk of life, particular field of action, music or sports or cinema or politics and that time we think that that is all there is to life. So in this context, take even the example of Mother Teresa. We may certainly appreciate the work she did, but again, to imagine that that is what everyone should do in one's life is injustice to the science of Adhyatma Vidya. Teresa's or Baba Amte took care of lepers. And even today there are a number of social workers who do social work with a lot of selflessness. They are wonderful, they are gems of people. But to do justice to the Adhyatma Vidya, there is an even higher plane where the glory is not of karma, but karma sannyasa. Nishkama karma definitely is higher than sakama karma. But karma sannyasa is way higher. So coming back to this Manusmriti statement, whatever a living being does, with no exception, is all desire prompted. Says this line. It's very disturbing statement. Yadyad karma kuru, yadyad kurute jantuhu, tat tat kamasya cheshti. Ityadi smriti just second chapter, fourth shloka. Manusmriti has lots of powerful statements which throw light upon beauty of human being. It talks about liberation. There's a lot of spirituality also in Manusmriti. And when it talks about the duties of kings, every leader should read it. How a king, a leader, a politician should act. Duties, responsibility. Then comes the rewards and benefits, right? So it looks quite terrible. What? If all karma is sakama, tat kamasya cheshtika. All karma, then there is no nishkama karma at all. You see, what you regard as nishkama karma is so from a certain point of view. When you go to a higher point of view, then that nishkama karma also is sakama karma only. One gets a certain happiness in wiping the tears of another person. One gets, that altruism, it is called. Happiness in serving others. Certainly way higher than where most other people live. But Atmanishta, Brahmanishta, where it's not that one is idle, one is serving people spontaneously without any thought about it, right? That is way higher. From that angle of view, this also is sakama. Subtler, very subtle forms of desire, which are generally not called selfish desires, but they revolve around the self. The state of no self, no limited I, is a cut above nishkama karma. Therefore, from a lower point of view, certain actions are nishkama. From a higher point of view, that nishkama karma also is sakama. Maybe I should end saying how we take a glass of water and it has been purified from aquaguard or from RO, reverse osmosis and this and that. But from a higher point of view, even that water has some impurity, some bacteria, maybe good bacteria, healthy bacteria, maybe such things which don't jeopardize our health. Please do not imagine that a glass of potable water is pure H2O and nothing else. It is believed that pure H2O will not be so good for us. There have to be certain other minerals or certain, I believe some bacteria also. Some experts know it better. Therefore, what is regarded as pure water by ordinary standards is not pure from a higher standard. Nahi sarva sankalpa sannyase kaschit spanditumapi shakta. If one completely lets go of one's sankalpa, shobhana dhyasa, one won't be able to move even a little. Tasmat sarva sankalpa sannyasi iti vachana sarvan kaman sarvani karmani cha tyajayati bhagavan. Tyajati means drops or lets go of something. Bhagavan tyajayati. Bhagavan Krishna, by giving us this wisdom, makes us let go of action and stay in divine contemplation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.